This
meeting is being recorded.
Thank you. Thank you. So welcome everyone to class number 5 and your journey to starting your own holistic RN patient advocacy private practice training. And we are going to welcome Gary Heisey as our faculty member tonight. And so we're going to have our standard check-in. So tonight we are going to check in as a pair of shoes. Or if you only want to hop along, you can check in as a shoe. So I'm going to sign in as a pair of extremely worn out tennis shoes. And when I take them off, there's smoke coming out of them. Okay. All righty. All right. How about you, Sandy? What kind of shoes are you tonight?
Well, no shoes tonight. Just took off some tennis shoes.
All right.
Yeah, double tied and yeah, but yeah, just took those off.
All righty.
No shoes tonight.
All righty. How about you, Chelsea?
I've got my boots for walking on today. So I have been getting a lot done today. It's been a good day.
All right. Okay, great. And Kelly, what kind of shoes are you tonight?
Flip-flops.
Why are you flip-flops?
Because I'm flipping and a flopping, trying to get everything done where I can go see my baby.
Okay. All right. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, Stella, what kind of shoes are you tonight?
Okay, I'm not a big fan of shoes. I know we have to wear them, but I'll say clogs because I like to kick my shoes off every time I sit down. I rather walk bare feet, so I always kick my shoes off. I'll say
All
clogs.
right. Thank you. All right, Mary, what about you? What kind of shoes are you tonight?
I wish I could have a pair of Jimmy Choo. Really, I feel more like a pair of worn out sneakers today.
All right, well, thank you. And Marcia and Melody and Monique, we're checking in as a pair of shoes, metaphorical shoes, or they can be real shoes. So Marcia, what kind of shoes are you?
I'm going to say cowboy boots because I just finished my week-long move to Wyoming. So,
whoa.
Yeah, I did it. I'm here.
Congratulations in your move to Wyoming. Big, that's big. All right, and Melody, what kind of shoes are you?
I am probably flip-flops. I'm a flip-flop.
All right. All right. And Monique, what kind of shoes are you?
Today I would have to say I'm a pair of sneaks. I actually just went and bought a pair of tennis shoes. I'm trying to do this work. I think I may have mentioned it to you all, the 75 hard where you work out twice a day. So I needed a new pair of sneaks. So I'm tennis shoes for a whole lot of walking.
All righty. Totally awesome. All right, Mark, what kind of shoes are you tonight?
Hiking shoes that want to go hiking.
All right, that's awesome. And Gary, what kind of shoes are you?
There's those shoes that are like half shoes. The back is totally open with a strap and you can slide in and slide out because I don't like to wear shoes a lot either. So I can put those on, take those off quickly and easily.
Totally awesome. All righty, excellent. So we're all glad you're here. So I'm going to share my screen just a moment, and then I'm going to turn it over to our marvelous speaker. So can you all see this slide?
Yes.
And this is a great quote by F. Scott Fitzgerald. For what it's worth, it's never too late or, in my case, too early to be whoever you want to be. There's no time limit stop whenever you want. You can change or stay the same. There are no rules to this thing. We can make the best or the worst of it. I hope you make the best of it. And I hope you see things that startle you. I hope you feel things you never felt before. I hope you meet people with a different point of view. I hope you live a life you're proud of. If you find that you're, oops, this board is cut off. I hope if you're not, I hope you have the courage to start all over again. So that's what I love this quote because it's about you all. I see you have the courage to start all over again. And so this is our agenda tonight. We just did our check-in, and then I'm gonna introduce Gary, and then he's going to do his big business plan document and speak about that. And the second half, he's going to speak about the business plan again. And so I want to tell you about Gary. So Gary is an amazing man. I took a course from him at the Blue Ridge Community Center in a place called Flat Rock, which is probably about 20 miles from Asheville. So he is a marketing and a branding expert with his company, Brandor, and he teaches these some acronyms. I'm going to say them for you. The Blue Ridge Community College Small Business Center, and its business classes as an adjunct faculty, and he serves as the executive director for the Blue Ridge Community College Mission Accelerator Program. That's the college that's located in Flat Rock, North Carolina. Prior to directing the Mission Acceleration business, he was a business accelerator of Blue Ridge Community College Continuing Education Program. And Gary, for 11 years, was the award-winning Blue Ridge Community College Small Business Director. So during this time, he directed the Blue Ridge Community Center Small Business Center, Blue Ridge Community College Small Business Center, and personally taught over 600 business seminars and assisting over 1,000 startups, growth and scale-up companies with management advice, branding, marketing, social media, access to capital, and business planning. And Gary is now, as a new update, the executive director for Vision Henderson County Program. So there's about 19 counties in Western North Carolina, and Henderson County is one of those counties. He's also been recognized by the Small Business Administration, the National Association of Entrepreneurship, the 2016 North Carolina Community College Staff Person of the Year Award, 2014 Dr. Molly A. Parkhill Blue Ridge Community Staff Person of the Year, Mountain BizWorks, former board chair, board member 2014 to 2020, and chair of the Lending Committee and served on the Executive Finance Committee. SCORE, he's been with Service of Retired Executives. You guys are going to have a homework assignment about that later. And he's got a master's degree in entrepreneurism from Western Carolina University. So he developed 4 entrepreneurial branding and marketing systems. 1, create your brand. 2, market your brand. 3, brand review. And 4, brand rebranding. And prior to being the Small Business Center director for the Blue Ridge Community College, Gary for 4 years was the economic planner for Transylvania County. That's another one of those counties in Western North Carolina, where he assisted the county economic development and planning department rebrand and position the county after the loss of their large manufacturing base. So I just want to point out before Gary takes the helm, this is Gary's bio. So all of you all by the end of this class are going to have a bio. So take note, this is a very fabulous bio. And with that, I am going to turn this over to Gary.
Well, good evening. Welcome. Thank you. You're in a journey to sort of create your own business. Some of you maybe have had a business in the past. Some of you maybe haven't had a business in the past. I'm here to tell you whether you've had one or you haven't had one, you can have a successful business. All you need is a plan to get there. You need guidelines to point you in the right direction. And all of you can have that successful business. It's just a matter of following a plan and working on it. And by taking this program, it's one of those wonderful assets that's going to help you do that. Because starting a business and in growing a business, the less you have to depend on trial and error, the better off you are. So you have somebody here that is working with you that successfully have started a business, and you're going to have some great mentors along the way. My only advice is be kind to yourself, give yourself time, realize you're going to make a mistake once in a while, and welcome to the world, and just keep moving forward, and what you desire, you can sort of create. So the plan I'm going to share with you tonight is about 64 pages long. My suggestion is don't try to be in a race. Take your time with this. And what's going to happen is, as you take your time with it, not only do you learn new skills, but your confidence builds in your ability to do what you're going to do. And so any comments at that point in time, and we can get started. The bottom line is this is something you can do.
Gary, I wanted to say, maybe we would have the students say their last name and where they're from and why they're taking this course. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So Sandy, say your first name and where you're from.
Okay. Sandy Dinkler. I live in Rock Hill, South Carolina.
Okay.
And my plan is to have backup little, have my own business for after I retire.
Okay.
And probably before.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, Sandy. Okay, Kelly, what about you?
Kelly Davis. I live in Smith Station, Alabama, work in Columbus, Georgia, and got to make a difference in people's lives. That's why I'm doing this.
Okay.
Great. Thanks, Sandy. And Chelsea, what about you?
All right, my name is Chelsea, and I'm actually over in Barnardsville, North Carolina. And yeah, hi. And we have a mission. So it's more of a helping patients, but in a religious context as well.
Okay.
Thank you. And Stella, what about you?
Hi, I'm Stella. I'm in Maryland and also have access to DC and Virginia. And I have a background pretty much in case management, utilization management, and my doctorate in psychology. So I figured I wanted to do a holistic approach to patient care and be a patient advocate on my own.
Okay.
And Mary.
Hi, my name is Mary, and I live in Plainsboro, New Jersey, which is near Princeton. And I currently work full-time in the maternal newborn department at the hospital. Having my own business has been a dream of mine since I started nursing as a second career. So that's my dream, to have my own business.
Thank you, Mary. And Marcia, what about you?
Hi, I'm Marcia. I am from Buffalo, Wyoming now, which is out in the middle of nowhere, and it's lovely. And I just retired from travel nursing for several years, and my goal is to be able to bring this to the community, and hopefully start my own business and make a living off of it.
Okay.
Great. And Melody, what about you?
And my name's Melody Hill, and I'm from Jensen Beach, Florida. I am currently a house supervisor at one of the hospitals down here, and my goal is to get out from underneath the corporate umbrella and be an advocate for the elderly here in Florida.
Awesome, Melody. And Monique, thank you.
Hi, Gary. I'm Monique Taylor. I'm here in Houston, Texas. The reason for my taking this course is to formally become an RN advocate. I am an advanced practice nurse right now, and I have been advocating for patients for quite some time. And so I have not yet decided if I want to do a business, if I just want to do this because it's the right thing to do. I'm struggling with that, but that's my purpose of being here,
Thank
or
you.
reason for being here.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'm going to share my screen. Let's see here. Mark, I'm trying to share my screen, and let's see what's going on.
I think maybe you should stop sharing and try it one more time, Gary. Yeah.
Do I click on entire screen and then go down? Share is grayed out.
Oh, it should be
Um,
green. It should say, there should be
Let me click-
a green
let me
share
click on this.
screen.
Let's see.
I think you got it, Gary. You had to
What
select.
I'm trying to do is get to my desktop where I can open the file.
You can minimize Chrome that you have open right now.
Let's see. Cancel.
Mm-hmm.
Click on this, I guess, to just come out of it.
Yes, you don't need to be running that.
There you go.
Okay. Can everybody see that on their screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And
So when you're doing a business plan, you might be doing it for one of three reasons or ways. The first way is you're doing it for yourself, and only you're going to be looking at it. The second reason is you're doing a plan because you're going to share it with somebody, because there's something that you want as a result of sharing that plan. So one reason is you might be going to a financial institution to borrow some money. You might be wanting to talk with family or friends about some money. So by having a plan that you can share with them, that helps them better understand what you're doing. Or the third way could be a combination. So if you're doing this just for yourself and you're not looking to go out to borrow money or anything, or a grant or whatever, you don't have to do anything other than just filling in the document. To share with other people, you just have to add a little bit more detail to it, as an example.
Gary, you're muted.
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Okay. So you'd be filling in your company name, you'd be putting in a photo that gives a person an idea of what kind of plan you're looking at doing. You'd be putting in the date. If you have a website, you put in your company website, who the contact person is, which in this case is going to be you. You'd be putting in your email, you'd be putting in your phone number, and this would be just your cover page. That's what somebody looks at that gives them an idea of what this plan is all about. If you're doing this just for yourself, you don't have to add anything in there if you don't want to, unless you just want to do it for yourself. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to have a table of contents. So as you go through this and you complete this, the pages may change because of the content you're putting in. So if you're doing this for yourself, you don't necessarily have to go back and do the table unless you want to. If you're doing it for somebody else, you'll just need to add in what page corresponds with these as you're doing your plan. As we go along here, if you have any questions, just ask them. If there's something you want to share, just ask them. And that way we can make it a lot more interactive as we go along. So some people do a business plan to start a company. Some people do a business plan to grow a company. Some people do a business to turn around. Some people do a business to scale it up to take it to the next level. And some people do it as a business for a sale. So what you'd be doing is you're going to be checking the reason why you're doing your plan. So for most of you, you're going to be putting a check in the business startup plan. You're starting this business. Now, when you have this document that came to you, what you want to do is you want to save it to your desktop. You just don't want to click it and open it up. You want to actually save it to your desktop, and then you can keep the exact name, which is Business Plan Template 2022, or you can put in your company name there if you want to. When you download it to your desktop and you save it to your desktop, that's going to allow you to go in here and add information to it, and it's going to save it. And what you're going to find is when you do the plan, you're going to find that you're going to go back and maybe enhance something or make something better, because as you get more and more into the plan, it creates more clarity, and therefore you might have an insight into something that you want to do or don't want to do, or how you're going to do it, or things like that. So for most of you, you're just going to be putting an X here, and that means basically what you're doing is you're using this for starting a plan. So this is something good to go through like once a year. And then that way you can update your plan, because things change during the year. Something may change. So this is something good to do like once a year. You already have it done once, you just go back and revising it. And when you save it to your desktop, you can go back and do that easily as an example in regards to that then. So here you'd be putting basically an executive summary. And what you're putting in here is why you feel you'll be successful, what you checked above. So once you go back and do your plan, you're going to come back and put a simple paragraph in here and say, here's why I think I'm going to be successful. So in a business, and the way this is designed is a lot of times we're really good at what we do, but sometimes that's not writing or creating concepts or things like that. They're in our mind, but we have to put them in sentences and phrases and paragraphs and pages. That isn't something that's easy for all of us. So this plan is designed, a lot of things is just checking things, which makes it go quickly, which makes it go easily. So in this situation here, you got a couple different choices as far as the type of business you're doing. Wholesale is when you're making something and you're selling it. So if you were making a cake and selling it, or a book and selling it, you'd be checking wholesale. And you're wholesaling it to people that are going to resell it, which could be bookstores or organizations or whatever. Retail is when you're selling something yourself, and that could be in person or on a website. Most of you are not going to be checking manufacturing, because that's where you're making something, a product as an example. So most of you are going to be checking a service business, where you're providing a service of helping people in regards to what you do and what your expertise is. So most of you, you're going to be checking service. If you create a product and sell it yourself, it's going to be retail. If you end up selling it to other people, it would be sort of wholesale in regards to that. When you form a business, irregardless of what state you're in, whether it's from South Carolina or to Florida, you're going to have a legal framework to operate that business within the state. A sole proprietorship means you're the business is you, easy to set up, easy to operate. The downside to it is legally, if something happens with your business, you can be potentially responsible for what something went wrong, as an example, because you are the business is you. A corporation is usually somebody, a lot of times, that might be bigger and they might be selling stock. S corporation is basically for tax purposes, as an example. Most of you are going to be doing a limited liability company, and that allows you to operate your business. There's two separate entities. There's you personally as the owner. There's the business entity, which is totally separate. So if something happens where somebody litigates against your company, it's harder for them to litigate against you personally, because you and the business are separate. You're separate legal entities. You as an individual have a social security number, You as an LLC have a LLC number with your state as an example. And where you set up your limited liability corporation, if that's the path you're going on, you do that with your state Secretary of State. So in regards to that, are you going to be going over more of this later in the program at all as far as legal entities, Karen?
Yes, Michelle Trock's going to come in. Your business entity choice is coming through that.
So
And
this is going to
Gary,
yes.
do you have headphones or earbuds? Some of the class is saying they can't hear you very well. You're going in and out.
Well, let me get a little closer. I don't know, it might be the internet. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
So you're going to be checking one of these, and most of you will probably be checking a limited liability corporation.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So if in the beginning, it may just be you, but you may bring another person in with it, would you start with the LLC first or the LLP?
Karen, do you want to comment on that before I share something? So usually you're starting with the LLC because it provides you liability protection. Whether that's you yourself or you have somebody that's sort of working with you as an example in regards to that. And here is a link that's going to take you, that's going to describe all of this in more detail in regards to that. And Karen will share with you my email address and my phone number. So as we go through this and after today is over the next series of days, weeks, or months, if you have a question, just simply email me with that question and I'll be happy to answer that and give you more detail. And if I don't know the answer, I'll find a resource for you. Now, if you are starting and this is for for-profit businesses. So if you are starting a nonprofit business, then you're going to be clicking the nonprofit business that you're going to be starting. And so here are all the different types of nonprofit businesses. So if you're starting a for-profit business, you'll be checking one of these. Most of you will be checking a limited liability company. Again, if you want to get more of a clarification on all of these, here's the link you'll go that describes it in detail. If you're not doing a limited liability corporation and you're doing this plan for yourself, you can leave this in the document. But if you're doing this to share with somebody else for funding or whatever, you can just take this whole nonprofit section and just simply delete it. Just take it out of the document. So when you're creating a business, the more clarity you have about what you're doing, it makes it easier to make decisions. You have less stress. So one of the things you want to look at doing for your business is to come up with a mission statement and a vision statement. And we're talking about something that's nothing more than a sentence or so long. And this goes into a little bit of description between the difference between the two. And here's a couple examples I gave you for one. So with Amazon, their mission is we strive to offer customers the lowest possible prices, the best available selection, and the utmost convenience. Their vision is to be the Earth's most consumer-centric, as an example, where customers can find and discover anything they want to buy online. So what you want to do is come up with a simple mission statement and a simple vision statement for your business. And again, if you have a challenge with that and you have sort of an idea of thinking of something you might want to, just send me an email and I'll be happy to give you some feedback, whether I think you're on the right path or maybe there's another sort of thing you may want to think in regards to that. So this is something you can develop over a period of time. It doesn't have to be perfect. You start with something and then basically you keep refining it. And then here's where you would put your idea for a mission statement and for a vision statement. One of the things that helps you in creating your business, what we talked about is clarity. and simplicity. So if something is clear and simple, it's easier to make decisions, it's easier to move forward. It gives you a sense of who you are and how you want to carry out your business. So coming up with a couple different words or phrases that clarify your values in regards to your business helps you make decisions. So when you're making a decision and you're sort of trying to understand which way you might want to go, you look at your mission statement, you look at your vision statement, and you look at your values and say, is this something that's in line with that? If it's a green light, you go with it. If it's a red light, you don't do it. And if it's a yellow light, you pause and you think about it a little bit more. And that'll make it easier for you to make decisions when you're starting your business, you're growing your business. So you want a simple mission statement, a simple vision statement, and a simple, basically, value statement. All we're talking about is a sentence for each of those, and for values, a couple key words that sort of help you stay clear on why you're doing this business, as an example. And a couple of you have already said a couple things already in why you're starting this business that could be tying in with your mission or vision or your values. So the next thing you want to do is you want to basically describe, in this case, what your service is. So what's that basic thing that you're doing, as an example? And the best way to do that is describe the service with a particular focus or value on what benefit it brings to the customers. So what is new, interesting, or different about your company where it meets a customer's needs versus what is in the market today? So one of the things you're sort of looking at here is, what is the value you're bringing to a customer? And the second thing you're looking for is, how are you different than somebody else that's providing something to them also? So some of you've mentioned, as an example, corporations or hospitals, as an example. They're delivering something, but you're going to be delivering in a different way. And how are you different, as an example? So that's a simple thing here. Again, 2 or 3 sentences, a paragraph. It doesn't need to be complicated, but basically, how are you benefiting the customer, and how are you different based on how somebody else might be looking for that same type, in this case, healthcare, as an example. When you get to marketing your business, there's 2 kinds of things in marketing that you want to look at. One is you want to be top of mind, and one is you want to be top of search. So top of mind is when somebody thinks about your category, they think about you. Top of search is when they don't know you, they go to the computer and they try to find you. So for any of you, when you think about you're going to go on a trip and you're going to go down the interstate and you're going to spend a night, and somebody says to you, what type of hotel might you stay in? Whatever hotel pops into your mind, they've done a good job of marketing and branding to you, whether that's Holiday Inn, whether that's Sheraton, whether that's Days Inn, Red Roof Inn, whatever pops into your mind, they've done a good job of marketing to you. That's what you want to have happen when somebody thinks about making healthcare decisions, or they're trying to get some help with healthcare. You want your name to pop into their mind as, here's a person or here's an organization I can go to sort of help me with that. Until that happens, then you're wanting to be top of search. So if they go to Google and type something in, then you want to be able to connect with them that way. So Karen, if somebody goes to a computer and they're looking for the services that you're providing, what might they type in?
Patient advocate.
Okay. So that's what you're sort of looking for, as an example, is that would be top of search. When somebody thinks about a patient advocate in your town, community, or area, you want your name or company name to pop into their mind. That happens by everything you do. It happens by word of mouth. It happens by networking. It happens with a business card. It happens with a website. It happens with social media. All of those things take time. They don't instantaneously create that top of mind, But until you build that up, you want to be top of search. So that way you really want to know what phrase they're typing in there. So when they type that in there, you want to have a way to connect with them. They can find you on the internet. Because most people today, if they don't get a hard, good referral to something, they're going to Google and typing, in this case, patient advocate. If you're also looking for other words or phrases they might be using, here's a couple links that can take you out to where you can see how people search online and what phrases they're using when they actually search, because Google and the other platforms track the kinds of words you use to search for things. And then what they do is they monetize that so you can do pay per click as a form of advertising. My recommendation is do everything and get really good at doing everything free before you start doing things like pay-per-click advertising. So a lot of times what happens when people start a business, they think they understand the business that they're in. And a lot of times what they think the business they're in is the category they're in. So as an example, up here we talked about top of search. So somebody might be in your situation putting in patient advocate, somebody else might be putting in restaurant, somebody else might be putting in, home repair or air conditioning or whatever. So a lot of times they get caught up in thinking that's the business they're in. But in reality, that's the category you're in, but that's not the business you're in. People go to products or services and pay money for it because they want to get the benefit from what they're buying. What they buy is just a way to get the benefit. So when you're looking at your business, the business you're really in is what's the benefit that you're bringing to people, as an example. And then you want to boil that down to simplicity in regards to that. So the example, when you read this on your own, it talks about the railroad industry. Back when it started and was growing, they thought they were in the railroad industry. And then cars and trucks came along and they lost market share because that was another way. Then airplanes came along and they lost market share. They weren't in the railroad business. They were in the business of moving people and products. And if they would have focused on that when cars and trucks came around, they would have invested in that way also. And when airplanes came along, they would have invested in that way also. But in reality, they didn't. So in the 70s and 80s, the railroad industry was in the toilet because they weren't able to make money because they thought they were in the railroad business. They were in the business of moving people and products. So one of the things we're going to have you do here as you get to this section on your own is you're going to come up with what business you're in. The example I gave here, 7-Eleven is in the convenience business. Disney is in the happiness business. Facebook is in the connecting people business. LinkedIn is connecting professionals. Nike is a performance company. Rolex is a luxury and status company. They happen to sell watches. Walmart is saving people money, and Whole Foods is in the natural and organic health. So what you're looking for is that what's that one or two words that defines what business you're in? I saw a company when I was driving down the road today, and basically on a billboard, it said the name of the company, and they said, we're in the health and happiness business. So they have different products and services, but the business they're in is health and happiness. So if you're looking for health and happiness, you need to come to us. So you're going to be doing that for you. What's that one or two words that defines what you're in? Not the category you're in, as an example, like nurse advocate, as an example. You're looking for what is that one or two words that people are looking for you? What's the benefit they're going to get from you? Is it health and happiness? And that might be yours as an example. The next thing, as an example, you're going to hear in business is everybody talks about a pivot point. So if something comes up and you have to pivot in your business, you have to change something slightly, then what's that pivot point? What are you known for? It's going to be the exact same thing as far as the business you're in. It's going to be the exact same thing. So you're going to be putting the exact same thing here as you did up there. And I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. There was a couple that started a restaurant And how they started their restaurant is, for years, they used to go to company picnics and neighborhood picnics and community picnics and gatherings, and they used to bring food to them. Everybody loved their food, and everybody encouraged them to open up a restaurant. So they did, and they took their family recipes that have been passed down by generations, and they offered those in the restaurant. People loved them. As an example, the business grew a lot. And then as they got older, they got tired of getting up early in the morning and going in, because how they started their business, their pivot point was family recipes made from scratch, as much as possible, fresh local ingredients. So family recipes made from scratch and local ingredients as possible. And it had a really unique taste. It was flavorful, brought people back. So as they got older, the food companies came in for the things that they were getting from the food companies and said, you know, I noticed you're saying that you want to come in a little later. We have some entrees that you can buy from us that really people love. You're going to cut down on your food prep time. You're going to cut down on your food cost time. You can come in later. You can put those on the menu, and you're going to do really well. But in reality, they didn't. Their sales started declining. And when I talked to them, they were thinking about retiring and selling the business. And I said, your sales have gone down over the last 3 to 5 years, and you're wanting to sell the business. And I said, so your business is going to be based on the revenue you're generating now. And then I said, why did your business go down? And they had trouble sort of putting their hand on it. Well, what happened was they got away from their pivot point, which was family recipes made from scratch, fresh local ingredients. Now they were serving more pre-prepared things from the food vendor. And I said, so you got away from your pivot point. You need to go back to family recipes made from scratch, fresh local ingredients as much as possible. And I said, if you're willing to do that over the next 6 to 12 months, you're going to find your revenues coming back up again, and you're going to be able to sell your business for a higher price. So I said, if you want to sell it now, you're going to make a little bit less. You can retire. All they wanted to do is buy a travel trailer and go around the United States. They said, we can put that off if we get more money for the business. We're willing to go in earlier again to make it happen. They did that. Their revenues continued to climb. They sold their business for a higher price. So again, the business they were in wasn't the restaurant business. The business they were in was the taste of the foods that people loved, as an example. And their pivot point to have that was fresh local ingredients, family recipes made from scratch. That's what you want to do for you, is what is your pivot point? What are they people looking from you for? And, you know, again, if it's health and happiness, then you want to focus on how do you deliver on that then. A lot of people, when they think about a brand, they think about a name, they think about a logo, and they put a lot of time and energy into it. What you're looking in branding is, it's a perception that somebody has in their mind. It's something that when they think of you, they think of, you know, the company, they think of what you're doing, why you stand out, and things like that. You want something to sort of think. I was meeting with a gentleman today that does national and international marketing, and he was sharing a story with me about Tropicana orange juice. And for those of you that aren't familiar with it, or you don't resonate with it, Tropicana used to have an orange with a straw in it. And that's what they built their brand around, is that orange with a straw in it. The company name was Tropicana. And so this individual came in and really took them away from that, changed all their packaging where it was just a swash of orange on the container, as far as the orange juice container, and it looked more like a generic type of orange juice sort of thing. It took them away from what people really resonated with, and people resonated with that orange with a straw in it, and they sort of connected with that. That was part of their brand, even more so than Tropicana. So what you want to look at is, what's that thing that's going to cause people, it's going to stick in their mind, and they're going to remember you in regards to that. When you look at brands, there's 3 kinds of brands. There's a value-added brand, there's a generic brand, and there's a luxury brand. So you don't want to be in the value add brand category because that's about buying something cheap. Value add, you're spending more money for it, but you're getting real value for it, and you're not want to be in the luxury brand category. So the category you want to be in is the value added category. So you're going to be checking here value added category, and then you're going to be putting down what is the value that people are getting from you? What is the benefit that people are getting from you? And then you can that helps you with sort of pricing in regards to that. So you're going to be checking value added brand. You don't want to be the lowest price in the neighborhood. You're not a luxury or status brand. So what's the value you're bringing to people? And if your focus is health and happiness, well, then how are you helping them achieve health and happiness? That could be in the brand. So if people have an existing brand and they want to see how strong their brand is, here's a little checklist they can go through and see which of these things are working for them and which of these things are not working for them. So when you're starting off a business, you're not going to have anything or most of these things working because you're starting from scratch. But as you start growing your company, as an example, you want to be looking at this. Are your revenues going up? Is your profitability going up, as an example? And then how do you do that? Well, you want to start tracking some things like if that email comes in or that phone call comes in, is there a cost tied in with that? So you can see, is it going up, going down, as an example? And I'm suggesting to you when you do your plan, you want to keep it simple, focus on a lot of free things. There's a lot of free things out there you can do. And that way you're keeping your costs really low in the beginning. You're getting really good at things that are free or low cost. And then you're going to find these things are going to be right in line for you. So these are the things you can go through and you can look at that you want to accomplish down the road. When you're doing marketing, you want to not only be able to attract people, but you want to convert prospects to customers, and you want to convert first-time customers to be repeat customers, as an example. You don't want to operate in a vacuum. So what you're wanting to do, as an example, is know who your competitors are out there. So a competitor could be a hospital, a competitor could be a private doctor's office. There's different people out there that are helping people with health. Who are those ones that are known in the community, and how are you delivering it in a way that is different and or better than they're delivering it? So this would be a checklist you would do down the road once you've actually started. And then you can rate yourself. So this would be something you may be doing a year. When you pick out a company name, you want to make sure that that company name is not being used. If you pick out a company name that somebody else is using, they can send you a cease and desist letter where you can't use that name anymore. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you're available on the federal level, and this will be a section that'll sort of help you with that. These are all the different sections that are out there for trademarks. Some are products, some are services. You're going to be in the service category. So you're going to be checking service. And then here's a hyperlink where you can go and see if that name is being used. And this is from the United States Patent and Trademark Office. If somebody has trademarked that name in your service category, you can't use it. So you need to use a different name, look for a different name. So you want to make sure your name is available. It's not being used at a federal level. You don't have to trademark it. As an example, you just want to make sure that nobody else has trademarked it so you can use it. Trademarking it is going to run you about $600, $700, $800 or so as a general rule. Once it's being not used at a federal level, then what you want to do is you want to make sure that it's not being used at a state level. So if you're looking to form, and we talked about an LLC as an example, limited liability corporation. If you go to file an LLC with the state, you're going to need to see, is that name currently available? And you can go to your state, whether it's anything from South Carolina, Alabama, North Carolina, Maryland, as an example, Wyoming, Texas, Florida. Your state Secretary of State has a website where you can go and you can currently see, you can put in there to see if that name is currently being used in your state. If it's not being used, then you can fill out the paperwork or have an attorney fill out the paperwork for you to form an LLC. So you want to check it at the state level in addition to the federal level, which is the trademarking as an example. And then there's a hyperlink here, which we talked about, where you can go and click to see if it's available at the federal level. You're going to be checking the box here for a service business. If you're selling retail as an example or wholesale, you'll be checking this. Most of you are just going to be checking the service box. And you're going to make sure your name is available at the state. If you currently have an LLC, then it's available at the state, because otherwise the state wouldn't let you have that name. So in all the states have a fee tied in with that. In North Carolina, to form an LLC, it's $125 to form that LLC. So that'll be the first cost you're going to have in starting your business, is when you form your LLC, there's going to be a cost for that. You can go through an attorney to help you with that. You can go to a service like a LegalZoom, which is an online service, and they can help you with that. Or you can do it yourself. Do it yourself is going to run $125 in North Carolina. What it's going to cost in your state. The LegalZoom, if you go with an attorney, it could be $400, $500, $600, $700 and up, depending on what the attorney. As we go along here, if you have any questions, just bring them out, bring them up, and we have to talk about it. One of the things you're doing when you want to create a business plan, people remember a story more than they remember advertising. So you want to come up with a short story that sort of connects people with who you are, why you do it, that's memorable, that helps you launch your business, grow your business. So you want something that's short. I gave you a couple examples of some good brand stories here. So this will be something you want to do in your business plan. You're going to come up with a paragraph or so. That's a short story that people connect with you and understand why you're doing it. Example, that will go in this section right here. And again, that's something that when people read about it, it inspires them and encourages people to sort of check you out and or do business with you. So when you're looking to sort of market your business, you have to sort of understand, who are you marketing to? So this is where target customers come in. This is where feasibility comes in as an example. So you want to sort of look at it and you want to sort of say, is my business feasible? Why is it going to be successful as an example? And that's why you're going to put a little short paragraph in here on why you think your business is going to be successful. So as an example, is there a sufficient size of your area that you can sort of market to? So obviously, if somebody is in a metropolitan area in Florida, the market is bigger than a small town in Wyoming. So you have to sort of look at, what are the different market sizes? What are people interested in, as an example? So you can be very successful in a small market. You can be very successful in a big market, but and in a smaller market, you might have to reach out to a bigger geographic area. If you take like a pizza shop as an example, they're only good for a couple miles around the pizza shop. People don't drive more than a couple miles for a pizza, or they don't deliver more than a couple miles for a pizza. So when they're looking at it, they might not want to be number one in their city. They might want to be number one in their neighborhood or their portion of town, because they're not trying to service the whole city. They're just trying to service that neighborhood, as an example, that they're located in. So you're going to put down here a little bit of why you think your business is feasible. This is something you can do once you get into the plan a little bit more. You can come back and fill in. So when you're looking at marketing, you've got 3 different types of customers out there. It can be business to consumer, business to business, and business to government. So for most of you, it's going to be, or that's going to be your marketing strategy. The secondary marketing strategy business to business where people are referring to you. So other businesses refer to you as an example because they know what you're doing. They don't do it, but as an example, they know you do it. So it might be like a nutritionist that refers to you. They help with nutrition. You help with it another different way as an example. So most of you are going to be checking business to consumer and business to business. This is for people that are directly paying you. This is for people that are referring to you in regards to that then. And it looks like we're at 7:58, so we have 2 more minutes. So when you check business to consumer or you check business to business, this is going to sort of help you with it a little bit. So here as an example is business to business, business to consumer. So this gives you a couple tips on how to look at that. And when you're looking at business to consumer, this gives you different age groups as far as who you're going to be reaching out to. This gives you how old the people are. So as a general rule, if you're dealing with more older people as far as customers, it's going to be the traditionalist, it's going to be the baby boomers, it's going to be your biggest market as an example. And when you're doing marketing, when you can better describe who your market is, you're not eliminating people, but you're making a sweet spot as far as when you're creating a message, either with words or pictures, who are you really trying to reach? So you might have primary and secondaries here. So you go in and check who you think your primary and secondary customers are. You're not eliminating people, but you're just narrowing down to what is that sweet spot that you're really looking for. And you'll find that 80% of your business comes from 20% of your customers. So this is just check the boxes. When you're looking at identifying those customers, it's not only who they are, but it's how they think and feel. So this is psychographics. The other one was demographics. So what you're going to do here is you're going to go through and check, are they looking for more of a casual experience versus a formal experience? Are they looking for price? Are they looking for quality? Are they looking for something fast? Are they open to something more slow? It just gives you an idea emotionally how they think and they feel about it. Who are you marketing? It's the government. If you then you be what type of government? It's now 8 o'clock. Is this where we take the break, Karen?
Yes, we're going to take a break for 7 minutes. So we'll be back at 8:07.
And I'll be here if anybody has any questions during that time, if you are not taking a break.
Thank you. See you in a minute.
You bet.
Go ahead.
So
This meeting is being recorded.
So here's what I would sort of suggest is take one little section at a time, read it, and if it's check the box, check the box. If it's asking for a sentence or a paragraph, work on one little section at a time, and whether that's 1 a day, whether that's 3 a week or 5 a week, you go at the pace that your schedule allows. Don't try to rush through this. Take your time with this. It's going to build your knowledge, skills. So this is about pricing. So there's 3 kinds of pricing: below market, at market, and above market. So what you're sort of looking for as an example is you want to price at market, which means goes back to that value statement. You're providing value, and that's why somebody's willing to spend a little bit more with you, because they see the value in what you're delivering. You don't want to check below market where somebody sees you just being cheap, because then you get customers that are looking for something cheap all the time. You want to look for people that are willing to spend a little bit more because they see the value in it, and then they share it with other people that see the value in it. So once you read this, and it's basically 3 kinds of pricing, you're going to be checking at market. You're not above market, you're not a luxury product, and you're not a below market. So in this thing, you read this section, it's going to take you like 5 minutes or less, and you check the box at market. That's it. Maybe do that for 1 day, and then you go to the next day, whenever that is in the week, and you do the next day. That'll make it very easy. So when you're looking at starting a business, you want to know who the competitors are in your area. because when somebody searches something out, unless it's a direct referral, they are comparing you with something. And they're sort of saying, am I going to go to A, B, or C? Which option am I going to go to? So you want to understand how they're coming across and how they're presenting themselves. There are direct competitors and there are indirect competitors. A direct competitor is doing something basically in a similar way to you. An indirect competitor, as an example, is basically providing something in a slightly different way. So the example I gave here as an example is when you're looking at fast food vending machines or sit-down restaurants, they are providing it in a slightly different way, as an example. If they're providing something exactly the same way, then that's going to be similar to you. So what you're going to be looking at as an example, are they a direct competitor? Are they an indirect competitor? And if you don't know in your market, you go to the internet and you see what comes up on the computer. If you are in your market, well, then you're going to know who your competitors are. So if you look at health, and let's say that's your category, and if somebody is looking for health, well, they might be going to a doctor's office, they might be going to a hospital, they might be going to, as an example, an outpatient clinic. So in your market, when somebody's thinking, where are they going? And then how are you fitting into that? You want to sort of see how they sort of present what they're saying, because a hospital is going to be talking a little bit about different healthcare than you are. A doctor's office is going to be talking a little bit different in healthcare as you. If there's another, as an example, somebody that's doing just like you're doing in your area, but then the two of you are going to be similar, how do you stand out? So the best way you can sort of see how your customers are looking at that is go out there and look at their online presence and how they describe themselves. You're putting in address, you're putting in websites. A tagline is a short phrase that goes under a company name. With Walmart, it's save more, live better. What's their advantage? They are saying, most of them, as an example, are going to be value add pricing. What's their strengths? What's their weaknesses? And you're looking at this from a consumer point of view. How would a customer or a potential customer look at them when they look at their website or they look at their social media? So you want to look at a couple different competitors. So now you can see how you can stand out. Because the worst thing that can happen is if you seem too similar to other people, you make it harder for them to make a decision. So once you go through and you look at the competitors in your area, then you want to look for that one or two things on how you stand out from them. And that's where you're looking for a competitive advantage. You have two choices there. You can do a cost advantage, which means you're cheaper, or you can do a differential advantage. How are you different? My suggestion is you check differential advantage. How are you different? You don't want to be the cheapest person in town, as an example. How are you different? And then here's what you're going to put down is how are you different? How do you stand out? What's that thing that's really unique about you that causes you to stand out? It could be the type of service that you're offering, days that you're offering it. It could be the hours of the day that you're offering it, as an example. It could be follow-up, could be radically different. But what's that one or two ways that causes you to really stand out and be different versus somebody else that's providing something similar to you? That's what you're going to put in here. So when you do something like this, you take this for one day, you read this, you think about it a little bit, you're going to be checking differential advantage, and then you're going to put down here, how am I different? You can't say things like good service or excellent customer service. That doesn't mean anything anymore because everybody says it. So it doesn't have a meaning. How are you really different? What's that one thing that causes you to be different versus somebody else that's in your community or the area where you're marketing? So here it gives you a couple different things to sort of look at that might trigger something when you're sort of thinking about that. So when you're looking at marketing your business as an example, you want to basically have a good name. And when you come up with a name, don't make it a popularity contest. You want to have something that you can go back to that is more black and white. So when you come up with a name, here's a name filter. Easy to say and pronounce, easy to remember, easy to spell. Pick a name where you can find a domain name that's available with no hyphens. Is it available through the trademark office? Is nobody using it? Is it available in your state? Can you get a social media platform under the same name? Whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, does it stand out from the competition in a favorable way? Does it not have any negative connotations to it? And does the name, as an example, allow you to add products or services in the future? So if you had something you checked all 10, that's a great name. You don't have to have a 10, but you want to make sure you have one with a higher score, because then it's going to be easier for people to remember. It's going to stick in their mind longer. So don't come up with a name and ask your friends and say, is this a good name? It's okay to do that, but that's more of a popularity thing. Use a filter like this once you come up with your name to make sure that you have a higher score. Once you come up with a name, you want to have a tagline, and that's a short phrase that goes under your company name. What that does is when you only have a name, there's only so much that somebody can allow them to remember. When you have something that's tied in with your name, it makes it easier for them to sort of So there's two kinds of names out there. There's a direct name, there's an indirect name. A direct name, they know exactly what you do. An indirect name, they're not quite sure what you do. Either one's perfectly fine, but you want to manage it a little bit differently. A direct name, you're letting people know what is your main competitive advantage. An indirect name is you're needing to let people know what you're doing because they're not quite sure what they're doing. This section will sort of help you come up with a tagline. Again, it's going to be 2, 3, or 4 words or a short phrase. Walmart is save more, live better. That's their tagline. So when you look at Walmart and you don't know what Walmart is, they're going to help you save money and they're going to help you live better. So this will help you go through this. So this is something you read it, you sort of think about it, and then you write down a couple words or a phrase. And then what you do is you don't want to make it a popularity contest again. You go in there and you score it. And again, what you're looking for is a tagline that scores at a higher amount. Then you know something that is sort of working in regards to that. So again, once you're going through this, if you have any questions, Karen will provide my email. Feel free to reach back to me and say, I need a little advice on this. I'd be happy to send you something back or talk with you to walk you through that little sort of sticking point. So you got a name, you got a tagline as an example. What you want to come up with is an elevator pitch. When somebody comes up to you and says, what are you doing? You want to have a short concept that you're sort of sharing with them. Not so much, I am this, but what's the benefit they're going to get from you and working with you? Because the benefit of an elevator pitch is to start a conversation. So I gave you a couple examples here. One was for a weight management center, one was for an account, and one for a salon business. It starts a little bit of a conversation with you as an example. So if you look at the accountant, I help people lower their taxes and provide real data to grow their business. As an example, weight loss center, I help people lose weight, enjoy great food, and have more fun. I bring the best out in people so they feel better and look younger, which is for a salon. So when somebody comes up to you at the grocery store or you're networking, or you run into an old friend or somebody you know from your career, and they say, what are you up to? You want to have that short concept that you're sharing with them that starts a conversation. Because the best way to grow your business is through networking, and the best way to grow your business is through building relationships with people. And the best way to build relationships with people is a two-way conversation. So what you're doing is you're taking a day or a couple of days, you read this, and you sort of say, somebody comes up to me and says, what are you doing now? This isn't something you memorize, but it's sort of a sharing of the concept with people. And if you come up with something and nobody's sort of interested in talking with you a little bit more, you know you need to tweak it a little bit. It's not salesy. You're just sharing with them what you do.
Can't hear anything at all.
If you get a score of 7, it's a really good elevator pitch. So again, when you come up with your elevator pitch, you can score it in the beginning, but afterwards, what you're going to find is if people start a conversation with you, you know that you have a good elevator pitch. So this is something you do in a day or a couple days. You're not rushing this process. You take your time. You basically have a series of months to create this. You don't have to have it done next week. So when you're looking to start your business, a lot of people focus too much on getting the phone to ring, getting emails, and getting business. And what happens is, to be really successful and sustainable, it's a 3-step process or a 3-stage process. You need to be good at attracting potential customers. You need to be good at converting potential customers to an actual customer, and you need to be good at converting a customer to a repeat customer. When you do all 3 of these, your business is going to be more successful. It's going to be more sustainable. So you want to sort of think about that. So when you look at marketing and you look at time and money in marketing, you want to divide your time up between each one of these stages. And when you're looking at spending money in marketing, you want to make sure that you're touching base on all 3 stages, as an example. Because if you're really good at connecting with a lot of potential people, but nobody does business with you, it's not going to help you. It's not going to help the customer. If you're really good at attracting people and doing business with people, but you don't provide them a reason to continue to work with you and or to refer to you, what you're going to find is your business is not going to be as sustainable. The more successful your business is tied in a lot of times with profit, you have some extra money left over. So that'll carry you into the future. So if you're needing to do something in your business, you have some extra resources to do that. You need a new computer, you need new whatever in your business, then you have the money to be able to do that. This 3-step process when you're looking at doing your marketing, and this can be true for your website, this could be true for social media, this could be true for your business card. You want to be able to accomplish all 3 of those types of things. So if we go into marketing as an example, there is traditional marketing. You're going to find traditional marketing is more expensive. So my suggestion is you focus on things that are free or less expense, as an example. So the traditional things that I would sort of recommend is, one is, I think there's 3 kinds of businesses. There's basically below price, below market, value added, and luxury. If you're below market or below price, then the reason people are doing business with you is they see you as being less expensive or cheap. You don't want to be in that category. So if a business is in that category, all they need is a one-sided business card. So you're not in that category. You have to give people a reason and let them know what the value is in delivering with you or working with you. And that way they're going to do business with you. You need to have a space for that. So my suggestion is have a 2-sided business card. And the front side of your business card is directional. My name, my address, my telephone number, my website, as an example. The back side of your business card is basically where you're putting your value proposition. How are you going to benefit them? How are you going to help them? So my suggestion is have a 2-sided business card versus a 1-sided business card. The extra money you're putting on that back side, you will get way over in revenue from that, because it is a small amount of price. But if you just get 1 or 2 more customers because of that, you've more than paid for it, as an example. We talked about in marketing, you want to be top of mind and top of search. So when somebody thinks about your category, they think about you. That takes some time. So what you want to be is top of search. So Google My Business is where you want to be. It's free. There's no cost for it. And Google My Business is when you type something into Google, it brings up businesses that are in that category. That's Google My Business. It's free. It's no cost. So I highly recommend that. Having a website is still a good thing. If you don't want to have a website where it's costing you to build a website and it's costing you to host the website, as an example, then you can have a website on Google My Business that's free, as an example. So there's a way you can have a free website. Every time you update your Google My Business, it updates your website. So that might be a good way to start if you're looking for low cost, more simplicity, as an example, versus having a freestanding website that you're using that's a template and you're paying hosting fees or things like that. Today, people are using social media more and more. So you want to basically have at least one presence on social media. If you're dealing with older individuals, Facebook is still more popular. If you're dealing with younger people, Instagram is more popular. If you're trying to look at connecting with business to business for referrals, LinkedIn is a good way to go. So what you want to do is you don't have to be on lots of social media platforms. Pick a couple out that you really want to put your energy into, and that way you're going to be more successful with it. This isn't in the beginning as an example, but at some point in time, one of the fastest growing things on the internet is people would rather watch a video than read something. So at some point in time, if you have a smartphone, you can create a simple video yourself. You want to have some type of a video presence where somebody can hear something and watch something about your business. Networking is a good way to go. If you're going to do something printing wise, I would recommend a rack card versus, as an example, a flyer, or as an example, a rack card is 1/3 of 8.5 by 11. You can get more impressions from a sheet of paper. People would rather look at less versus more. And the purpose for marketing is to inspire them to act. It's not to totally educate them. It's to inspire them to act so they can connect with you and they can become more educated. Email marketing is a good way. One of the things you want to do is grow your database of people that have an interest in your business. It's easy to put things out on the internet versus email. Only put things out that are of value to them. Just don't push a lot of stuff in their way, which people will unsubscribe and they won't look at it. So make sure whatever you push out is an email. The more people you get on the database, it's going to be easier to grow your business. It's going to be easier to sustain your business in regards to that. We already talked about video a little bit. You can do something with your smartphone. There's some services out there online that can do inexpensive videos for you. Fiverr is one of those platforms out there, Fiverr, Fiverr. You can have videos done for under $100. They can be live videos or they can be videos using animation. Animation for certain types of things is very popular because it's different. People like to look at certain kinds of animations, so that might be something you could sort of look at. A traditional press release is another thing you send out to your local newspaper or TV station or radio station. You can go on the internet and you can find tips on doing a press release, as an example. If there's an opportunity where you can exhibit your business, that could be an opportunity, whether it's through the Chamber of Commerce's, as an example, or community outreach where you're just reaching out to people. These are the traditional things that I suggest that you look at for marketing. The only one in here that's really going to cost you is basically a rack card. So I would start with the other ones. If you have some additional resources, a rack card might be something you can look at, but do all the free stuff you can. All these other types of things like radio, TV, movie theater ads, billboards, all of those things cost money. They have mixed reviews as far as how effective. I would sort of pass on these until you become more established and you have a little bit of extra money where you can risk it. Direct mail, again, is more expensive. I would hold off on that. Print ads, I would hold off on that. So the things I would focus on, and you're going to go through and just check these things you plan to do. I would focus on the basic foundation. And then I would focus on some online marketing based on when you have a little bit more time, or if you have a tendency to be a little bit more into being creative, whether that's putting a blog on your website. Content on your website, you get more traffic to your website, as an example. Social media. So again, look at some of these things. Organic search would be good to sort of focus on. So I'd say the one here would be organic search to check if you don't check anything else. And then for marketing, I would look at the basic foundation. These are things that really can help you start your business, grow your business. And when it makes sense, you may want to look at a rack card when you have some additional resources. Get really good at the free stuff, get really good at the low cost stuff in the beginning, because that's going to allow you to have a solid foundation underneath you to grow your business. So we talked about, as an example, step 2. This is attracting people to you. Step 2 is where they are now, you're connecting with them. And the best way to connect with them in your advertising, if you're doing a website that has clickable links, hyperlinks is where you click on something, it takes you somewhere else. In your marketing, you're putting a phone number, email, they can text you. If you're selling something, it would be a shopping cart. Chat features are becoming more popular on websites. As an example, free special or time-sensitive offers could be something. Look at having something in your content that inspires somebody to reach out to you and do your business. And what they usually call these is call to action. So you're connecting with them in step 1. Call to action is you're inspiring them to really connect with you and do business with you. Content, there's a couple different ways. So if any of these things you're thinking about doing, you just simply check the box. This is just giving you things about reviews and the power of reviews. Don't be afraid to get negative reviews, and the best way to respond to them is just like a positive review. Thank them for their feedback, and don't take something online, just say, please give me a call and let's talk about your experience. The third step you're sort of looking for is, how do you get that customer to come back to you, as an example? So once they're in for their first visit, how do you make it easy for them to come back the second visit, as an example? How do you make it easy for them to refer to you? When you're doing marketing, you want to be able to attract people, convert people into customers where it's in their best interest, and you want to make it easy for them to continue to do business with you. That becomes part of your marketing plan. So when you're doing a marketing plan, as an example, you want to be able to sort of work on your business, not just in your business. It's good to step away from your business, look at the big picture and say, how can I do this better? So you want to factor into here, how are you going to do that? Are you going to allocate a certain amount of time each week or each month where you step back and you sort of look at your business? Going through this program like you're doing now is an excellent way to work on your business, not just in your business, as an example, because you're taking the time to learn things that are going to work for you versus proven versus doing trial and error. As an example here, when you look at having people, are you a boss style or a leader management style? What's your sort of style as far as working with people when you're supervising people? You're giving an example here. Here you're looking at how do you create a competitive advantage as an example, and that's usually through continuous improvement. So you can put a little sentence in here. When you start a business, you always want to have an exit strategy. What do you plan to do with your business down the road? It might be 5 years, it might be 10 years, it might be 15 years. Is always start a business to be able to sell the business in the future, because that money you might be able to reinvest in your retirement, you might be able to reinvest in another business. So when you build your business, look at what you're going to do down the road. If you're not going to transfer it to a family member, then you want to look at how do you sell it. If you have a good name, a good tagline, a good elevator pitch, if you basically have a good website, you have a good social media, all those things add value to your business, as an example. And if you take right now where you're starting from scratch, if you could buy somebody's business that has all those things working for them, even though they're only making, let's just say hypothetically, 25,000 or 50,000 a year, hypothetically, that gives you a jump on that. And some people are willing to pay a little bit for that because they don't have to want to go through the setup phase of doing everything from scratch. So that has value to them. So just think about down the road, what are you going to do for your business? Are you going to transfer it to a family member? Or is this something you might want to sell in the future? You just check the box. When you're looking at doing basically a business plan, you want to look at your strengths and your weaknesses. So you're just going to go through here and you're going to check the things that you're good at. Anything up here that you didn't check, you're going to be checking below here. So anything you didn't check up here, you're going to be checking below here. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put down how you're going to compensate for that. So if you're not good at bookkeeping and accounting, as an example, well, you could take a class. Or you could outsource it where you have somebody that does that for you, or your tax preparation. If you don't do it yourself, somebody else is going to do it. You're going to find what causes a business to not be as successful is you have certain weaknesses that you're not creating a viable plan for. Because when people get in stress, they go towards their strengths. They don't go to their weaknesses, and the weakness will hold you back quicker because it's sort of like an anchor dragging behind you. So you want to have a way to compensate for that. That might be training, that might be hiring somebody, that might be getting somebody to help you with it, as an example. So any weaknesses that you check here, what you're going to do is you're going to put down how you're going to do that. Are you going to hire somebody? Are you going to get training in it? Is somebody going to help you with that? It could be a family member, friend, as an example. So you want to come up with a strategy on how you're going to sort of work with your weaknesses. Now, if you're doing this as a plan to get funding, then what you do is you change the word weakness here to continued education. And then you change the weakness here and you put continue education or outsourcing. And that way, when somebody goes through here, they're seeing the ways that you're sort of outsourcing. Anybody that's helped people start businesses, they know that you have strengths and weaknesses. And if you can show them that you've identified your strengths and weaknesses, and now you have a plan to deal with your weakness, that's going to give you instant credibility with them because they know that we all have strengths and weaknesses. When you get to the point where you have employees or you're working with independent contractors, this is going to help you with that section there in regards to HR or independent contractors. Gives you a couple steps there and questions in regards to that, whether they're full-time, part-time, or independent contractors. So you got some action steps there. If you're looking for additional money, this section is going to help you look at some of the different ways that are out there for additional money. Everything from angel investors, bank loans, bartering, crowdfunding, customer capital, factoring, friends and family, finance companies, government loans, grants, leasing, micro loans, personal or business credit card, personal loans, personal savings, trade credit. So when you're looking at that, if there's a way, as an example, that you're looking to generate some additional capital to help your business, you're simply checking which of these that you think you might use. And then you put the dollar amount that you're thinking that you might need from one or so of these sources. When you start a business, you might want to look at what type of insurance you might need. So some of these insurances you may not need. General liability might be something you might want to consider since you're in the healthcare field. You might not need commercial property. You might not need business income because you're starting off. You don't have employees. You might not need workman's comp. You might not need professional liability insurance or cyber liability insurance or business identity insurance. You might not need a lot of these. I'd say the one to sort of look at is the legal structure, which is your limited liability corporation, can help shield you from liability. This is the one you might want to look into is some is insurance companies are set up differently. Make sure you get a quote from 3 different companies. And sometimes the coverage can be very similar coverage, but the price can be radically different because they have different risk pools and how they come up with their costs. When you're doing a business, the one thing you want to sort of look at as an example is you want to come up with a cash flow statement. And a cash flow statement allows you to put down what you think your income will be each month, what your expenses are going to be each month. And that way you can see, are you making money or losing money over a period of time? This is a template that'll take you to that, that'll show you how to do that as an example. You want to run your business from a cash flow statement. You don't want to run it from a checkbook. The checkbook only tells you what's in the checkbook right now. It doesn't tell you what future expenses are coming up. So if you do an LLC, and let's say in North Carolina it costs you $125 to do it, well, that $125 is going to be due every year. So you want to make sure that you know what month that's going to hit so that you have $125 there to cover that type of an expense. Certain expenses are basically the same every month. That might be your phone bill as an example. That might be a hosting fee as an example. But a lot of times, like hosting fees are due once a year. Your LLCs due once a year. They might not be in the same month. So a cash flow template is going to allow you to look at every month what your income is, what your expenses is. You would click on that. It's easy to fill out, but you want to manage your business with a cash flow statement. You don't want to manage it as an example. If you're going in for a bank loan or something like that, they might want to look at a balance sheet. They might want to look at a P&L statement. All these links will take you there. The one thing I'm suggesting that you really want to do is come up with a cash flow statement. The first year, you're not going to know. So you put down an educated guess, and then as each month goes by, you turn it from an idea to reality. And at the end of 12 months, you got some good solid figures. When you go into your second year, you can sort of say, well, this is what I spent in September last year. What do I think it's going to be this year? It makes it easier to do your second year budget. But the first year, just no matter what state you're in, anything, the states that you mentioned, there are resources that are available on a national level. There's resources that are available on a state level, as an example. So it's good to get feedback from different people at different times for different things. These are some of the things in here that could be links to sort of help you. This is for North Carolina, which is the community college system. All states have a community college system, so you might want to reach out to the community college in your state, whether that's Texas, Florida, Maryland, Wyoming, South Carolina, they all have community colleges. Reach out to them. The small business centers are all over the United States. Again, that's another resource you can reach out to. These are the links that are going to take you that. Again, here's for women's business centers around the United States. This will take a link to that. Most of you are not going to do importing and exporting, so you won't need this one. But I'd say the community colleges, the small business development centers, which are tied in with the universities, the women's small business centers, which are funded by the federal government, those are all good resources to get extra help. If you're a veteran, there's veterans business outreach centers that can help. If you're looking to do work with the federal government, which most of you won't be doing, this is a link that can sort of help you with that. SCORE is it's a national organization. In most metropolitan areas, there is one. So you might have a SCORE chapter in your area that can sort of help you. We talked about community colleges. There's incubators in different areas that might be able to help you. Here's the Association of Women's Business Centers out there. So these are resources that can sort of help you. My suggestion, the ones to really check out is check with your local community college. Look at the small business center that's in your area as far as SBTDCs. Look at the women's business centers that are in your area. Those are the top 3 to look at. They're all free. If you're a veteran, there's help with veterans out there. And if you have a SCORE chapter in your area, here's the link it's going to take you to see if there's one in your geographic area. These are all resources that are free and they can sort of help you. So we are now at 8:45. Karen, do you want me to do a 5-minute recap, or do you just want to go into your feedback at this time?
Why don't you do a 5-minute recap and then we'll do takeaways at 10 minutes to 9.
Okay.
You have 4 minutes rather.
So if you are doing this yourself, you don't have to change anything other than checking the boxes, put in a sentence or a paragraph. That's all you have to do. Take one section at a time. That might be 1 a week, 2 a week, 3 a week. Don't rush this process. It's going to build your skill levels. It's going to build your confidence, and it's a roadmap to success. So most of you using this for startup. Most of you are going to be a service business. Most of you are going to probably be an LLC corporation ultimately. You want to come up with a simple mission statement, vision statement, and a values. This will help you with that. You want to see how people search for you on the internet, so that becomes something you can tie in with your marketing. When you're looking to do your marketing, talk more about the benefits that people are going to get from you, not the services you provide. You only talk enough about the services you provide so that people get what you do. Spend most of your time talking about the benefits of what they're going to get from you. Most of your competitors talk too much about their services. Pivot Point's the exact same thing. Your brand is the connection that somebody has in their mind about you. It's not the name, logo, tagline. It's when all of it comes together and people remember you and they like you and they refer back to you. Most of you are going to have a value-added brand, which means that they're providing money to you, you're providing value. What's the value you're getting? This is something you can do in a year. You want to make sure your name is available in the federal level. You don't have to do it. You just want to make sure that it's available so that nobody's going to send you a cease and desist letter. You're going to be in the service category because it's not a product, it's a service. There is the link you go to see if your name, somebody's using it on the federal level. On a state level, just go to your Secretary of State and they have a place on their website that can let you know what name is available in your state. When you file an LLC as an example, then you know it's going to go through. You want to come up with a short story that inspires people to get what you do and why they want to do business with you. Don't talk so much about you. Talk about the benefits they're going to get in working with you. You want to know who your customer is so you have a message that connects with them. Most of you want to have strategy for business to consumer. That's who's paying you. Business to business is people that are referring to you. This is just a way to see who some of your customers are. Primary and secondary, you're not eliminating anybody, but it's just sort of the sweet spot. That's demographics. Psychographics is how they emotionally look at you in making decisions. Business to business is where you're looking for referrals. Basically, your pricing, you're going to be checking the box at market, which means that you're not the cheapest, you're not luxury, but you're providing them value, and that's why you're at market pricing. You want to know who your competitors are. If I'm looking for somebody that's doing something similar to you in your community, is it a hospital? Is it a doctor's office? Is it an outpatient clinic? What you're doing, how do they think about getting better, getting healthier? Where do they go to? You want to know how you can stand out in that marketplace. That's why you look at your competitors and how they describe themselves. And you're looking for those 1, 2, or 3 things that make you different. So you're going to be checking the box that here differential. You don't want to be competing on cost, but how are you different? And then you're going to put down how are you different? And that needs to be black and white. It can't just be we provide great customer service or things like that. This will give you some tips there in looking at that possibly. When you come up with a name, tagline, logo, elevator pitch, you're not only attracting people, but you're providing the opportunity to do business with you, and you're also making it easy for them to come back and do business with you. There's different tips here, ways you can do that. You want to look at what's your management style, not only just for you, but if you add employees in the future, what that might be. You want to position your business. What are you going to do with it in the future? And that might be 10, 15 years down the road. You want to look at what your strengths are, and you want to look at what your weaknesses are and how do you compensate for that. If you don't have employees, HR is not going to be a component in your business right now. Here's where you can find additional capital out there if you're looking for that. You want to look for some possible business insurance. Liability insurance will be one thing to explore. Don't just get one quote, get 3 quotes. Have a cash flow statement, and then you can understand what's really happening with your business. And here's places you can go for additional free help. In addition to the very specific help that you're getting from Karen, they can help you with some other things that are more tied into other kinds of business skills that are more generic out there, whether that's accounting or bookkeeping or marketing or whatever. And my time is up. What's yours, Karen?
Thank you, Gary. That was a lot. So,
So take one thing at a time. It's like a daily vitamin. You don't take 7 in a day for a whole week. You got weeks to do this. You got months to do this. Be kind to yourself. Take one section at a time. It'll build your confidence. It'll build your skill level.
Gary, would you put your contact info in the chat box?
Yeah, let me come to it. I don't need to share anything else on the screen, so let me come out of there.
Great. And then while you are putting your stuff in the chat box, Mark has added Gary's content tonight into Pathright. And so you'll be able to get that from there. And Gary is going to add his contact. And one last question, Gary.
Yes.
How can you encourage students to call you about anything?
Can you see me now?
Yes.
Okay. If you have and I'm going to say a simple question or a clarification or anything like that on anything we've gone over tonight, just simply email me. There's no cost for it. I'm just going to look at it. I'm going to bounce a couple things off you, send it back to you. If you need more help where it's going to take more time and it's going to be more of a project or something like that, then we can talk about what something might like that work. But with this template, I've given you a roadmap to success. Take your time. If you have a question, or if you want to say, here's a tagline I'm thinking about using, just send it to me. There's no cost for that, and I'll be happy to respond to you via email.
Totally awesome. That was a great answer.
And I'll tell you what I have, let me see if I can get out of my dashboard here, because I'm not showing it on my screen anymore. I'm just seeing my dashboard. Mark, can you put in the chat box my contact information?
Do you want your Gmail or your brand
Yeah,
door?
do the Gmail, and that's a personal one. That makes it easier for me to separate. So it'd be garyheisey@gmail.com.
Okay.
And like I said, as you go through the workbook over the next days, weeks, months, if you have a question or clarification on something, just send me an email and I'll be happy to look at that and work with you on that clarification point. And it might just be feedback, what do you think about this? Or I don't understand that. Be happy to do that.
Wonderful, Gary. Thank you so much.
You bet.
All right, Stella, what are your takeaways from tonight?
Okay. I was saying, oh my gosh, it's just so much. I mean, there's a lot of valuable information here. And like you said, we'll have to take it step by step, but it's a lot. Very informative though.
Thank you, Stella. And Kelly, what about you?
I knew a little bit about majored in accounting before I went to nursing school, but the tips about the value and the different types of things to come up and what it means helps.
Okay.
Great. And Melody, what about you?
was very excited to hear about all the free advertisement.
Oh, there's tons out there.
I'm so excited. So I'm very impressed with this whole class tonight. It was extremely, extremely informative. Thank you.
Great.
You
Thank
bet.
you. And Chelsea, what about you?
Like everyone else, I'm a little overwhelmed. I'm looking forward to getting into that, but the focusing more on the benefits you provide and how you're going to help them to achieve that versus the services you're going to provide. That's the thing I'm going to try and focus on.
Because that's what people are looking for. I mean,
Mhm.
they look for the service or product to get them in the right area. But when they go to buy something, it's sort of like, is it going to meet my needs? Is this really going to help me? Is it going to make a difference? That's what you want to talk about more, how you do that.
I'm also direct with Karen's in the same area, so I gotta be good, man.
That's awesome. Great. Okay, Marcia, what about you?
Wow. Just wow, there's so much. So I started my networking post-it note sheet. So I think that was my biggest thing is, being new to the community, how am I going to network and get out there? And so listening to him, I just kept coming up with ideas. So I've got it on my big old post-it note.
Great.
And I would say the one thing for all of you is look at getting in Google My Business. And once you're about, I'd say, a month away from opening up, that's when you want to go in and register for it, because it takes 2 or 3 weeks for them to accept it and authorize it. And if you need any tips on how to get into Google My Business, just send me an email. But that way it helps you become top of search. If people are searching for you, that's where Google is driving the traffic these days.
Great. Thank you. And
You bet.
Mary.
Well, I'm feeling along the same lines as everyone else a little. This was wonderful information, very informative. And yes, absolutely, it has to be done a little bit at a time. And I'm really grateful for what you said. Talk about the benefits and not just what I do or the services. So that was great for me. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. And Sandy, what about you?
Well, for me, I really like the overview and the step-by-step. And then I liked, I have been, a lot of times I really get hit by people trying to get me to participate in their business on LinkedIn. And I find many of them are quite overbearing. And then I'm like, no thanks. So as far as that goes, because I have, over 5,000 followers, so I get that a lot. And so I like that you mentioned that, and the simple or straightforward approach yeah, would probably work out best. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. And Monique. Monique, are you there? Well, I'll just ask Mark. Mark, what about you?
I'm
call
here. I
Gary.
couldn't unload.
Oh,
I couldn't unmute. I was sitting
Okay.
here trying to unmute. Sorry about that. But go
That's
ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
You can go, Monique. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know. What am I supposed to say again? I'm sorry.
Just a takeaway from Gary's presentation. One.
Oh, yeah. The takeaway tonight is in today's society, I guess, in the time we're living with marketing, we have social media and different ways to market your product. It's nice to have the refresher. Because, you know, although it may be something simple, but those are the other pieces that we have to think about. Because what's quick, what are they going to remember? Something short. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And Mark.
Mm.
I call Gary a BPE. Anybody want to guess what BPE is? A business plan encyclopedia. He's incredible.
That's good, Mark. Okay, and my takeaway is you did an awesome job once again. You were totally thorough, comprehensive. Love your handout. We posted it on our learning management platform. And just to let you all know, we're going to invite Gary back on January 8th when we do our entire Sunday afternoon to business issues. And he's going to probably refresh some of your minds with some more takeaways of his work. So we are delighted to have you, Gary.
Thank you.
Your presentation was awesome, and I'm just glad you gave them this epically big overview in a concise way. Great job. Yay.
My takeaway is be kind to yourself, take one step at a time in a journey. Don't think about the whole process, and take one little section at a time and do it. And when you're ready for the next one, whether that's the next day or the next week, everything is going to feed to the next thing and it'll make it easy for you. So don't try to eat a 7-course meal instantaneously. Just take one step at a time.
Great. Thank you. And so you all just have one piece of homework, and that is go to www.score.org and find your closest SCORE chapter. So that's your homework for next week. Okay. All you got to do is find it and just Google www.score.org and then type in where you're located. You'll be surprised. It's a good thing. Okay. Okay. So what do we do at the end of each class? Is that right? Yes. This means love, Gary.
Hey.
So all right. Thank you all. See you next week. Looking
Bye.
forward to seeing your smiley selves. Gary, thank you so much. Okay.
My pleasure.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Take care.
Good night,
Good
everybody.
night.
Good night. Good night. Good night.